Welcome, everyone. Let's begin our lesson for today by going over the learning goals and success criteria. First, what are we learning? We're learning how to find the volume of cubes, pyramids, and prisms. How are we learning it? Through the finding the volume of cubes, prisms, and pyramids notes, and the finding the volume of cubes, prisms, and pyramids assignment. When can we use this information? To determine the amount of liquid a container can hold. How do you know you learned it? By getting a score of 4 on the finding the volume of cubes, prisms, and pyramids assignment. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. We will begin by going over the learning goals and success criteria. While we do that, you'll fill out your Get It Started. Once you've completed your Get It Started, we'll go over it together and answer any questions that you may have. After that, we'll go over the finding the volume of cubes, prisms, and pyramids notes, and then I'll give you time to complete the finding the volume of cubes, prisms, and pyramids assignment. Once you've completed the assignment, we'll go over it together and answer any questions that you may have. At the end of class, we'll go back over our learning goals and success criteria while you fill out your Before You Go. Your only homework for tonight is to continue working on the geometric modeling study guide and any incomplete assignments that you may have. Let's take a look now at the finding the volume of cubes, pyramids, and prisms notes. The notes begin with the learning goals and success criteria. So first of all, what is volume? Volume is the amount of space a three-dimensional figure occupies. So area was a flat object. Now a volume represents something that contains flat area and then is also raised up, so actually has height as well. So volume can also be looked at as the amount of space available inside of a container. For instance, we have a box here. And notice it has a flat area on the bottom, but then it's also lifted up and raised up as well. Here's some formulas for volume. So the volume of a cube is length times width times height. The volume of a prism is the area of the base. Notice that's capital B. So that's area of the base times height. The volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. The volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. And the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Now let's look at the volume of a cube. Well, we know that the volume of a cube is length times width times height. So in this case, we have our length, which is here, which is 2. Our width, which is 2 as well. And then our height, which is 2. So we multiply all three of those together. So 2 times 2 times 2, and we get 8. Again, don't forget your units. Now, it's in inches. Now, anytime we're finding the volume, it's going to be cubic inches, or raised to the third power. So this would be 8 inches cubed. So this is the volume of this cube. Now let's look at the volume of a rectangular prism. So the volume of a rectangular prism is the area of the base times the height. Well, we can see that the area of the base and the top and the bottom are exactly the same, so we can treat either the top or the bottom as the base. So we'll use this one. So the area of the base is 3 times 5. And then we multiply that by the height, which is 2. So we get 3 times 5 times 2, which is 30. Again, don't forget your units. So our units in this case would be yards, and its volume, so it would be yards cubed. So this is 30 yards cubed. Now there's a video here that you can watch that shows you how to check your work when finding the volume of a prism in Symbol Lab. So go ahead and watch that video now. Let's take a look now at how we can use Symbol Lab to check our work when finding the volume of a prism. So we'll go to Symbol Lab, and then we're going to go to where it says Cuboid Volume and Surface Calculator, and we're going to click on Volume, and we need to enter in the width, the length, and the height. So let's say our length is 3, our width is 2, and our height is 6. So we'll enter that in and go ahead and click Go, and it tells us how to compute this. So we can plug in 3 times 2 times 6, which is the width, the length, and the height, and we multiply them all together, and we get a volume of 36. So our volume for this prism would be 36. And this is how you can use Symbol Lab to check your work when finding the volume of a prism. Now let's take a look at how to find the volume of a pyramid. So the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So in this case, we have a rectangular pyramid, right? So the base is rectangular. So we'd multiply 5 times 5 to get the area of the base. And then the height in this case says that it's 7 kilometers. So we would take 1/3 times 5 times 5 times 7. And when we multiply that, we get 58.33. Notice I rounded to 2 decimal places. You will always round to 2 decimal places. So this would be my volume. Now, don't forget your units. It's in kilometers. So this becomes kilometers cubed because it's volume. So this is 58.33 kilometers cubed. Now, what if the base isn't a rectangle? What if it's a triangle? Well, in this case, it's the same thing. So it's 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Well, the area of the base in this case now is 1/2 base times height because it's the area of a triangle. So 1/2, 3 times 1. That's the area of the base times the height, which is 4. So we multiply this out. 1/3 times 1/2, 3 times 1 times 4. And we get 2 as our answer. Because 1/2 of 3 is 3/2 times 1/3 is 1/2. And then 1/2 times 4 is 2. So that would be our answer. Again, don't forget your units. It's in miles, so it becomes miles and then cubed because it's volume. So it's 2 miles cubed. Now there's a video here that shows you how you can check your work when finding the volume of a pyramid using Symbolab. So go ahead and watch that video now. Let's take a look now at how we can use Symbolab to check our work when finding the volume of a rectangular pyramid. First, we'll go to Symbolab, and then we'll click on where it says Rectangular Pyramid Volume and Height Calculator, and then we're going to click on Volume. So we're going to type in what's given to us. So we're going to type in the width, the length of the base, and then the height of the entire thing. So we plug that in. So let's say that the width is 3, and the length is 4, and the height is 5. So we'll go ahead and click Go. It takes us down and shows us the formula for this. So volume is length times width times height divided by 3. And it shows us how to plug all that information in. And it says that when we do that, our volume should end up being 20. So the volume for this pyramid would be 20. So this is how you can use Symbolab to check your work when trying to find the volume of a pyramid. Let's take a look now at the Finding the Volume of Cubes, Prisms, and Pyramids assignment. The assignment begins with the learning goals and success criteria. If we scroll down, we can see the questions. So this time we're given a prism, which we know is the area of the base times the height. That's how we find the volume. So if we find the area of the base, which is 12 by 12, so 12 times 12 is 144, and then we're going to multiply that by the height, which is 7. And when we do that, we get 1008, and it's going to be inches cubed, so it's this one here. So now let's take a look at this one. So we have a pyramid this time. Now let's take a look at this one. So we have a pyramid here, and we know that the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So if we look at this, we have a rectangular base, so we're going to multiply that, the length times the width, so 11 times 11, which is 121. And then we're going to multiply that by the height, which is 12. And when we do that, we end up with 1,452, which is here. But we got to take 1/3 of that because we need to make sure that we account for the fact that this is a pyramid. And when we do that, we end up with 484, which is this one here. So you'll continue to answer these questions all the way until you get to the end of the assignment. Once you get to the end of the assignment, go ahead and click Next. That will take you to your Before You Go. Go ahead and fill out your Before You Go and then submit your work on Google Classroom.